Pay condolences to Ugandans. It is unfortunate that he has died at a tender age, but we all know whoever is born, time will come and the God calls us. So we convey our condolences and we pray that the good Lord comforts members of his family and rests his soul in eternal peace. This afternoon we are going to convene the initial meeting of government together with the members of the family to start making preparations with regard to return of his body from the US, where he has been hospitalized and where he has died from, and then we work out funeral arrangements. And in due course, we shall be announcing to the public, to the country, the arrangements to have him given a decent, eternal rest and send-off. So we urge the countrymen and women to just be calm. Let's continue praying for his soul. Let's continue praying for members of his family, for God to comfort them so that they are able to go through these difficult times when the children have lost their father and Ugandans have lost one of the distinguished leaders that we had, who was serving as the Speaker of the 11th Parliament. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
From the reports that are coming in, what has killed Oulanyah?
Well, as we all know, the Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah has not been feeling well, and he has been to several hospitals. We know he was treated in Dubai and even underwent a surgical operation. Then here he was hospitalized in Morago and I think in Nakasero Hospital before he was flown to the US. So he has been unwell, he has been sick, and the doctors and health workers have been attending to him. But as to the cause of death, I think we shall wait for a post-mortem report from the doctors who have been attending to him. But by and large, we know he has been sick and he has been getting attention from the health workers. But I cannot now specifically tell the cause of death. I think that will be made clear from the post-mortem reports, which I believe the doctors will do, and then we shall get a report, yes, which we should be able to make public.
Yes, Honorable, you are a member of Parliament and Minister of Information. Can you briefly describe the late Jacob Oulanyah, the Speaker of Parliament?
Yes, the Honorable Oulanyah, at a personal level, I first met him when we were in Makerere University. When I joined the university in 1990, he was ahead of me doing, I think, agricultural economics, and I was doing medicine, but we were staying in the same hall, Mitchell Hall, and he was serving as a guild speaker of Makerere University, while Chairman Mao was serving as a guild president. And he was a social, amiable, eloquent young man. And since then, we have known each other. Particularly, we got close when both of us served in the Parliament. At the time when he became the Deputy Speaker for the first time, I was also a parliamentary commissioner and we worked very closely. So I can describe him as someone very intelligent, a very brilliant lawyer who knew the law perfectly well, social and outgoing, somebody who welcomed whoever came to his office or whoever wanted his assistance, and somebody serious with his work, you recall, he's the one who introduced strict timekeeping and punctuality in Parliament, because in the past, Parliament would be scheduled to start at 2 p.m. At times you start at 3:30, at 4 p.m. and you lose a lot of time. But the moment he became a deputy speaker and then subsequently a speaker, strictly he would enter the chambers at 2 p.m. as scheduled. So he was very strict and very religious when it comes to timekeeping, which is a very big value, and that was a very big asset in terms of parliamentary work. So someone who knew the rules of procedure of Parliament very well, and that's very important for a position of a speaker, because a speaker guides the proceedings of Parliament. He was a dedicated and committed member of Parliament who, even when he was busy as a speaker, he always found time to lobby for his constituents and also go on the ground and be with his people. A very committed NRM leader, because I've been sitting with him on the Central Executive Committee, him being the vice chair for Northern Uganda and I being the vice chair for Western Uganda. We've been very close and discussing matters of NRM and also discussing what we need to do as leaders to take this country forward. So we shall greatly miss him. We can use very many words to describe Jacob Oulanyah. He was a distinguished leader, a distinguished son of this country, and surely we shall dearly miss him.
Yes, Honorable Tuluwano Nakolwayo, tuwulireko tulina okuva ku mukulu Jacob Oulanyah wikire eggwanga.
Kitalo nnyo, kitalo ekyamawulire amabi getufunye olwaleero nti sipiika wa Parliament omukulu Jacob Oulanyah abadde mu ddwaliro e America ngu afuna obujanjabi ku basawo nti bamubisse nti afudde, ate twagala okuweereza okusaasira kwaffe abaana be ne famire, abantu ab'Omoro ababadde akiikirira mu Parliament, n'Abannayuganda bonna ne gavumenti eya Uganda n'ekibiina ekya NRM, kubanga badde omumyuka wa ssentebe w'ekibiina kya NRM bw'amatemba ga Uganda. Ate twagala n'okusaasira ababaka ba Parliament kubanga omukulu Jacob Oulanyah abadde sipiika waffe, ate tubadde tumwagala nnyo kubanga abadde sipiika ng'ategeera bulungi amateeka ga Parliament, rules of procedure, ng'aba ali mu ntebe ngu Parliament agenda mu maaso, osanga nti bamemba ba Parliament babeera bali comfortable kubanga amanyi amateeka, ate yaweereza chance buli muntu yenna ayagala okwogera mu Parliament, ate ne ofisi ye abadde ayaniriza buli muntu yenna amutuukirira, kubanga ababaka olusobola olina ensonga zoyagala kubuulira sipiika n'akukkiriza n'ozireeta ku floor ya Parliament. Kati so twagala kusaasira abantu bonna aba Uganda. Sipiika Jacob Oulanyah ku gwange twasiikanira e Makerere ngwe yali yakulembeddeko, yali sipiika waffe mu University ya Makerere, ate ngu tusula wamu mu Mitchell Hall ne guild president, yabeera guild president owekitiibwa Norbert Mao. Ne tusiikanira mu Parliament ne tukolera wamu. Musajja mulungi, musajja muyivu, yasoma amateeka n'agategeera bulungi, ate abadde ayamba nnyo mu kutaputa amateeka ne rules of procedure eza Parliament, kubanga kubeera sipiika kyetaaga nti obe omanyi amateeka ga parliament, omanyi constitution, omanyi okuweereza omukisa side zombi mu parliament, kubanga wabeerayo oludda ogwa gavumenti n'oludda oluvuganya ate ga speaker tolaga ludda nobwoba nti abadde wa NRM naye nga speaker aba akulembera parliament erimu side zizonna ate abadde aweereza omukisa ababaka bonna aba NRM n'aba opposition bonna okukozesa platform ya parliament okwogera ensonga z'abantu abatukiikirira mu parliament. So tujja kumufiirwa nnyo kubanga abadde omukulembeze bulungi, abadde akkiriza mu kibiina ekya NRM ate abadde akola nnyo okulaba nti NRM egenda mu maaso. Mu kaluulu akaggwa yakola omulimu ogw'amaanyi nnyo okulaba nti abalonzi mu Northern Uganda bawagira NRM. So tujja kumufiirwa nga ba NRM, nga parliament, nga government n'eggwanga, naye twongere okusaba Katonda amuwumuze emirembe ate n'abamaaka ge abaweereze amaanyi okuyita mu ekiseera kino ekitali kyangu.
Oli yandagadde okumanya kyekisa omugenzi n'ekirala enteekateeka z'okuzika ez'okuzza omubiri gw'omugenzi. Twakafuna amawulire ogwaleero naye tugenda kutuula mu ssaawa 10:11 tugenda kutuula ku parliament, aba gavumenti n'abamemba ba famire tukole olukiiko olusooka okukola entegeka, kubanga tujja kukola entegeka ey'okuleeta omubiri we kukomyawo mu Uganda, tulabe engeri gye tugenda kumusabira n'okumutwala mu parliament n'okumuwerekera, naye tujja kufulumya program oba tumaze okugibagaabaga tujja kugifulumya tugiwe public, naye kati tunaba kutuula kuteesa, naye kati wiiki egitutandise yonna ejja kuba yakolaba nti body ekomawo mu ggwanga, then tukole ne program ngeri gye tugenda okukola byonna ebyetaagisa okutuuka okumutwala ku makaage omolo esuubire gye tugenda okumuziika. So tujja kuba tufulumya program nga gavumenti ne tubabuulira ekijja kugenda mu maaso. Abantu abali
omukulu Jacob Oulanyah ffenna tukimanyi nti abadde tayewulira bulungi mu nnaku eziwedde kuva twakamuwa kaluulu akobwa sipiika teyabeera bulungi, yagendako ne wabweru Dubai mu ddwaliro ne bamulongoosa n'akomawo. Kimanyi nti yali agenda ku medical reviews n'agenda n'emulago ne Nakasero hospital, then ne bamutwala abasawo ne bamurefaringa wabweru n'agenda e America. So tabadde bulungi okuva nga bigini okutandika kw'omwaka kati ogwedde abadde mulwadde, abadde tayewulira bulungi. So tujja kulindirira ebiwandiiko by'abasawo, postmortem report yensuubira nti bagenda kukola postmortem eri gyafiiridde, then batuwe ensonga kiki bulwadde ki bumusse, ate bwe baba bamaze kutuwa postmortem report tujja kujanjulira abafamire n'abantu bwe bakyetaagibwa, naye kikulu tumanyi nti abadde mulwadde ate abasawo babadde bamujanjaba.
Deputy Speaker ne Honorable Mao Zako bagenda bo bakunyewo bagenda kudana
babadde bakomawo kubanga Deputy Speaker komawo ogwaleero saawa zigenda kubeera mwenda ndowooza yatuuse edda ku kisaawa naye abalala simanyi itinerary naye kabamu babadde bakyali emabega so ndowooza bajja ku nga chief justice ne honorable Mao bajja kubeerayo bategeke tukwatagane nabo tulabe engero gye tugenda kuleeta omulambo gwa Jacob Oulanyah. So anything else? We are all of course saddened by this, and we particularly pray for the children and the family, because this kind of news is not the best for people to receive. But we request the country to remain calm, because it has happened. All of us at an individual level, time will come and will go. So when this one happens, we need to unite as a country and give him a decent send-off, and that's what we are going to do as government, working with the family. We are going to make the arrangements to see that we pay the last respects as Ugandans, and then we shall give him a decent send-off. I think in his ancestral home in Omoro, as shall be guided by members of the family. Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you for informing the country, because Ugandans and the entire world, because this was one of our leaders, they need to know. So we shall give you updates as and when the program keeps getting out. Thank you. Thank you. You have kept the cameras on me. You want me to go away? I'm at home. You are not supposed to go. You want to get some cutaways for you. Okay. So you got to come back.
Well, once again, Jacob Oulanyah, the former Omoro County, is dead. He was pronounced dead on the Twitter handle of the president this afternoon. In his tweet, he did mention that he had passed on at about 10:30 a.m. East African time, but the announcement was delayed to first inform his immediate family. Oulanyah had earlier been flown to the United States, and he was receiving treatment in Seattle. Now, Oulanyah was last seen, of course, in Parliament in December 2021, and by that time he had only chaired a few sessions, including the passing of the National Social Security Fund Bill, which later permitted the midterm access to members' savings. Now, he was elected into the speakership position in May 2021. Recently, the Chief Justice Owini Dolo, the Deputy Speaker Anita Mong, and the Health Minister Jen Ruth Acheng did travel to the US to check in on him, and we did see that conversation on Twitter as well. Now, as a lawmaker, Oulanyah will be remembered largely in his role as a backbencher in the 7th Parliament, where he was one of the most eloquent members of Parliament, alongside Agri Awori, Winnie Byanyuma, Okuloe Park, if you may remember them, and also Ben Watcher, among others. For now, let us quickly dive into a story that will show us how he was actually elected.
Before his election, Jacob Oulanyah was reportedly the NRM's top leadership choice to replace then Speaker of Parliament Rebecca Kadaga. It is said concessions had been made 5 years back, but Kadaga was unwilling to let go. The contestation did not only pit the two against each other, but threatened a sharp split in the entire party. Both Oulanyah and Kadaga had just been elected to the ruling party's Central Executive Committee. Oulanyah was elected Speaker at a special sitting of the 11th Parliament held at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds in Kampala, chaired by the Chief Justice Alfonso Windolo. The session, attended by President Museveni, was characterized by unpleasant scenes that saw opposition MPs chanting slogans and lifting placards protesting the army's presence in Parliament.
The presence of Parliament, the chambers, cannot be accessed by non-members. Even the President is the other side.
If we have those who are non-members,
yes, they
are in the House, will you please vacate immediately?
We shall not accept that. You rather shoot us from here.
The security officers had defied orders to vacate until the president unusually took the microphone to ask them out in the middle of the House sitting.
They are also busy bodies. Okay, so, Your Lordship, I don't want to interfere in your work, but I want to report that people are spreading corona. Get away, please. You are going to kill the new speaker. You will die. What will you do?
Oulanyah, who had been deputy speaker for 10 years, polled 310 votes against 197 votes for Kadaga, who had defied the party and stood as an independent. Chira Municipality MP Ibrahim Semujunganda of the opposition FDC party came third with just 15 votes.
I therefore now declare Honorable Jacob Lokori Oulanyah, who has obtained 310 votes cast, as the Speaker-elect of the 11th Parliament of Uganda.
And the big moment for the elected speaker had come.
I, Jacob Lokori Oulanyah, swear in the name of the Almighty God that I will at all times well and truly serve the Republic of Uganda in the office of the Speaker, and that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda as by law established. So help me God.
He wore the prestigious robe and hood for the first time as Speaker.
I thank God Almighty for His grace and the gift of life that has enabled me to witness this day. I can only say that I feel greatly humbled to be called your Speaker.
Oulanyah would then chair a sitting to elect the Deputy Speaker, which saw Bukedea woman MP Anita Among emerge victorious.
I therefore declare the Honorable Among Anita duly elected Deputy Speaker of Parliament.
So help me God.
The Speaker and his deputy knew they had inherited a divided institution, and it was time to bury the hatchet.
Build the bridges, mend the relationship, and rebuild friendship, and replace despair with hope. I pledge to provide leadership through this and walk the talk. They actually say, Ribe ayeteo. We are stronger together.
Now, not so long after winning, he is gone. His dreams and aspirations cut short. Oulanyah was the country's 10th speaker since independence and the 6th under the NRM-NRA government after Yoweri Museveni, who was chairman of the National Resistance Council between 1986 and 1996, though his deputy Moses Chigongo would chair the council meetings on his behalf. James Wapakabulo was speaker between 1996 to 1998. Francis Ayume led parliament from 1998 to 2001. Edward Sekandi from 2001 to 2011. And Rebecca Kadaga from 2011 to 2021. Post-independence speakers before Museveni's government are John Bowes Griffin, the National Assembly Speaker from 1962 to 1963, Narendra Patel, who chaired the National Assembly between 1963 and 1971, Edward Rugumayo, who chaired the National Consultative Council after the infamous no-parliament regime of 1971 to 1979. Rugumayo was Speaker between 1979 and 1980. Francis Butagira was the last National Assembly Speaker between December 1980 and July 1985 before Museveni's National Resistance Army took power. Oulanyah's death freezes parliamentary business until he is replaced. There is no automatic promotion for the Deputy Speaker. An election must be held. Article 82(4) of the Constitution states that no business shall be transacted in Parliament other than an election to the office of Speaker at any time that office is vacant. Deputy Speaker Anita Mong has previously publicly stated that she will be the next Speaker after 10 years of Jacob Oulanyah.
And we must take this country up to where we want it to be. I have my 10 years as a deputy and 10 as a speaker.
If she resigns to vie for speakership, another election has to be held for a new deputy speaker. Edward Muhumza, NTV.
His dreams cut short indeed. Well, actually, some of his colleagues that are close to him do say that he has always really loved to be the Speaker of Parliament. And after serving the 10 years of Deputy Speaker to the former Speaker of Parliament, we did know that he admired James Wapahahuro, who was the Speaker of the 6th Parliament in 1996 to 1998. But he also understood for a fact that he could not really win the speakership race while standing on the opposition, and this is why he had to cross over into the NRM party as well. Now, we just want to look at his very first day in Parliament. Jacob Oulanyah, who was the former Speaker of the 11th Parliament, did tour all departments of the August House and promised to foster unity as a key to serve the country. When he did speak after the tour, Oulanyah did say that some people could have said what they should not have said during the Speaker race period, but he was ready to put that aside. He vowed to keep his door open to all legislators and administrators of Parliament. His mission during the 11th Parliament was to ensure that the common person's views were heard and action taken to change the people's welfare.
After a heated race between former Speaker of Parliament Jacob Oulanyah and his predecessor Rebecca Kadaga, the victor took some days off. His first day in Parliament as a Speaker of the 11th Parliament after spending 10 years as a Deputy Speaker, on the 25th of May 2021, he toured all departments of Parliament to make a courtesy call on all the office holders.
Do you enjoy your work? Now you are even going to enjoy it.
He sought to compare notes on how to make the 11th Parliament a pro-people Parliament. Oulanyah, an agriculture economist, lawyer and politician, or is the fitness enthusiast, climbed the stairs up and down as he toured all the departments.
I thought you were not in office. What are you doing?
During his tour, he visited the office of the Director of Communications and Public Affairs, Chris Obori. It was an interesting return to Parliament for Obori, who had been locked out of office since 2019 after falling out with former Speaker Rebecca Kadaga.
Why don't you guys go and take over the office?
Also during the tour, the Kakumiro District Woman MP Robin Anabanja, who would soon be named Prime Minister, used the opportunity to welcome Oulanyah as Speaker of the 11th Parliament. He visited the Sergeant-at-Arms office and the office of the Leader of Opposition, then held by Betty Awol Ochan, as a sign that he needed the entire team on his side.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Mother's just next door.
Completely. I cannot now move without checking on the mother.
This was a matter of practicing what he preached.
Yes. This was my guild speaker, and I'm very happy to welcome him here as a Speaker of Parliament.
And my messaging was very simple. I say I want you and the staff under you to release all the energy you have. All the positive energy you have. We should have no reserves. Let's serve this institution, because this institution is the people's institution. Let's serve it and serve it well. We should not carry grudges. Anything that is negative, that brings negative energy, we must throw it out. We want a parliament where when people enter, they are just laughing and smiling.
Yeah, Mogisa. All the chairs are short because you're short. I don't like this chairs.
He wanted a smile on the faces of the people who go to parliament, but was not oblivious of the deep-rooted upheavals among members after the race.
This parliament is not for me, Jacob Oulanyah. It's not for the individual member of parliament. It's for the people of this country. So if we are working in the interest of the people of this country, why do we have small grievances and small differences affecting what we must do for the people of this country? The purpose for which we exist in this institution is bigger than our own individual issues, differences, and all those things.
He wanted to continue meeting the directors, deputy directors, and kept his door open.
Although Oulanyah says that he tried his level best to ensure that he doesn't step on many toes during the time when he was Deputy Speaker of Parliament, he comes to a parliament where the administration is reportedly polarized. Some are against him, while others are for him. So what plan does he have to ensure that he bridges the gap?
He struck a reconciliatory note and asked for forgiveness.
I forgive whoever has wronged me, just in case one slipped, or in case people who volunteered to do things for me did something that went beyond what should have been done. I truly apologize and ask for those affected people's forgiveness.
I tried to make an appointment with him for a one-on-one, which he accepted, but time never allowed. Sudil Biaruhanga, NTV.
Thank you, Sudil Biaruhanga. Well, now we also want to hear from you. How are you going to remember the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, whose death was just confirmed a few hours ago? Do get to our social media platforms and fill us in on how you're going to remember the former Speaker of Parliament. Well, now, once again, we just want to look at his life. He was remembered for his candid persona while conducting his duties in the August House, and more as a Speaker of Parliament, at least for the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, at least for the last decade. And over time, he was very outspoken on issues to do with societal problems like the rule of law and human rights. And we did send Walter Message to look to the archives to sample some of those moments where the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, was speaking vividly and passionately on the issues that affected the common person.
In May 2011, Jacob Oulanyah was elected Deputy Speaker in a contest against Aru County's Member of Parliament, Odonga Oto of the FDC. In his acceptance speech, Oulanyah said he would execute his role diligently, a trait he asked his fellow colleagues to emulate and put in practice.
That my role as Deputy Speaker will be to execute with utmost diligence all assignments given to me by the Speaker. This standard should apply to all of us when executing whatever assignment we will get as members.
While concluding the year in 2016, Jacob Oulanyah did not shy away from expressing his dissatisfaction with the less than stellar performance of the House.
We must be discussing all those things that affect the ordinary person, the life of that ordinary person. We should be able to make provision on things that can improve on their lives.
Politics does not put food on anybody's table.
He also noted that the members had spent more time discussing political issues than those that affect the livelihoods of the electorate. This he partly attributed to a transition from the 9th to the 10th Parliament.
And of course a transition parliament, like a transition year of a new parliament like this, always has challenges. It's not a parliament that is continuing with the business that it already has. But that has been corrected because a lot of bills now has been brought back and the committees are now picking out the issue to see that when we come back, they'll have lots of reports and bills ready for this.